favorable matchups because he seems to be able to get the job done, especially against a lesser opponent, and KC is definitely that. Running back, my sleeper running back this week is Edgerrin James. He seems to be having a nice year. I know Tim Hightower is getting a lot of his goal line touches and kind of robbing him there. But all in all, Edgerrin James is piling up decent yardage. I think he's caught a couple of passes. He's doing okay. He's doing okay. Now it's really going unnoticed by and large in the fantasy football world because he's Edgerrin James, and we've all so comfortably written him off as past his prime and not worthy of a start. But if you look at what he's done this year, it's just not that bad. And against Washington, who I've said before can't stop anybody for anything, the Edge might have a decent game. Now, he may not get into the end zone, but I'm just saying, he may, yardage-wise, and if he might catch a couple passes, point per reception leagues, that helps out. So the Edge is my sleeper running back pick of the week. Sleeper wide receiver pick of the week, Isaac Bruce. Ike Bruce, San Francisco wide receiver, because they're playing Detroit. All right, San Francisco's at home against Detroit. Isaac Bruce actually had a nice week last week, and remember, he's in that Mike Martz system again, the system he had his most success in while he was in St. Louis, and Mike Martz was the offensive coordinator and then the head coach. Isaac Bruce had his best years back then, and he actually had a pretty good week last week. And this week, remember, Mike Martz, I forcefully removed, I'll say, from Detroit after a disappointing season. He lands in San Francisco, and now they're playing his old team. I think Martz is going to have the offense geared up pretty high for this game, and I think that Isaac Bruce will probably be the beneficiary and be worthy of a flex play, a possible number 2 if you're really weak at wide receiver. But Isaac Bruce may have a nice week against Detroit. Keep your eye on him. And tight end, sleeper tight end, I have John Carlson. And if you've never heard of him, that's all right. Either have I until just recently. He is tight end for the Seattle Seahawks. And if you don't know, Seattle this week is at home against St. Louis. Now, Seattle has looked really, really bad. But almost no one has looked as bad as St. Louis with the exception of maybe Kansas City. So, that being said, I like Seattle to probably win that game, and seeing as how Hasselbeck has literally no one to throw the ball to but this John Carlson kid, he may have a pretty decent game, and he is so far under the radar, I'm not even sure his name is John. I don't even know if it is. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm not positive. But some Carlson guy from Seattle could have a nice week. Check into that if you need a tight end. My letdowns of the week. And we're almost done. My letdowns of the week, and these are guys that you may think you're going to get a nice week from based on what they've done in the last few weeks, but they're not really going to live up to what you might think, so keep your eye out. I'm going to say my first pick is going to be Jason Campbell, Washington quarterback, versus Arizona. You know, Washington's at home. And last week they hung a lot of points on New Orleans, so I know a lot of people picked up Jason Campbell in their leagues because he looked okay in that game. And Arizona kind of has this reputation as being a weak defense. But honestly, they haven't looked that bad this year. I mean, this could be a good year for Arizona. They haven't looked that bad defensively. They just haven't. So, to me, Jason Campbell, even though they're at home, I think he's going to look a lot more like Week 1 Jason Campbell than Week 2. All right, so don't buy into that 1 week of scoring that they put on New Orleans, who can't stop anybody, and go ahead and know that Jason Campbell is probably not worth your start this week. You can probably do better. You should be able to do better. You can hopefully do better. Try to get Matt Ryan. Meh. All right, my running back letdown of the week, Larry Johnson at Atlanta. And that should come to no surprise to anybody, and this was one of the easier picks. I had Larry Johnson on my team. I traded him off. I'm glad I traded him off. He's been very, very disappointing. That Kansas City offense has been incredibly, incredibly disappointing. He actually got pulled out, I think, after one play in the third quarter, is what I understand. He finished last week against Oakland, a team who he had never gone under 100 yards against. He finished last week against Oakland with 12 carries for 22 yards. just pathetic. And then he was pulled out of the game, and then he makes these comments about how he doesn't even think he wants to be there, and they're not going to use him, and this and that, and he's mad and he's angry, and Herm Edwards says, oh, well, he should be mad. That's good. He might play better. No. Listen, he's not. He's not. LJ's a fine running back. Kansas City is not a fine team, all right? They are in a bad way. They are an awful, awful team. They can't block for anybody. They have no business with a good running back. They might as well just run with rookies and young guys and rebuild and get Larry Johnson out of there and let him go somewhere where he can be productive and be a running back, because he is just wasting away in Kansas City. But if you haven't given up on LJ yet, do so now. He is my pick for the letdown of the week at the running back spot, and it was very, very easy. And I know they're playing Atlanta, so it seems like, well, this could be the week for LJ. They're playing the Atlanta Falcons. Not a good defense. Yeah, what happened last week, all right? Nothing against Oakland. Nothing. Well, what's it going to do against Atlanta? Have a huge day? Doubt it. LJ's done. He's done in Kansas City. If he's in Kansas City, he's not on my team. Wide receiver. The letdown of the week is another easy one. Chad Johnson at the New York Giants. Listen, there's something wrong at Cincinnati right now. I'm not sure what it is. They seem to have the pieces in place, but they can't get anything done. So, until Cincinnati proves they can effectively do anything on offense, Chad Johnson's going to be a letdown every week. This time I've just made it official. And they're playing the Giants, a defense that will be in Chad Johnson's helmet all day long. They're going to be all up in his face. He will be in the grass and the dirt. You know, he thought he was having a tough time before. They're playing the Giants this week, and Chad Johnson, disappointing season thus far, and it will continue week 3. I expect him to probably, remember how he tore his labrum right before the season started, decided he wanted to come out in a harness and play anyway? I expect that to go about halfway through the season, and then when they only have one win halfway through the season, when they're 1-7, possibly 2-6 at the best, I think Chad Johnson will probably go ahead and sit out the rest of the year, heal up, try to come back next year. Just a disappointing letdown year for Chad Johnson, and this week will be no different. This will be one of the worst weeks for him, actually. If you're ever going to sit him, this will be the week to sit him.